gonna stop us. We are here to stay. We are the children of the rainbow flag. We are moving forward, moving on and on. Never, never going back. We are moving forward, moving on and on. We keep on fighting, fighting, fighting on and on. We keep fighting, fighting, fighting on and on. And never going back. LGBTI, 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 LGBTI. Where are we? 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 I welcome you all to yet another Victor Mukasa show here on Facebook. This show, I was supposed to do another one tomorrow on Saturday, but something urgent just came up. We've actually heard back from the UNHCR. We've heard from the UNHCR publicly. They have responded to your mails, your phone calls, your statements, your testimonies, your cries, your truths, your reports. The UNHCR has responded to all of us via a press statement. And we are here today to unpack this press statement. I would like to tell you all that it's not the first press statement that the UNHCR has issued on behalf of, in response to what LGBTI people in Kakuma camp have reported. It's not the first statement. We have another statement that the UNHCR issued on April 29, 2020, this year. That's another statement from the UNHCR, April 29, 2020. And today we have a much longer one in response to all our cries and reports and calls upon the UNHCR to rescue LGBTQ human beings on Block 13 in Kakuma camp. A response has come to us publicly. A response that I am not ashamed to say is ridiculous. A response that I want to let all of you know that I think is very dismissing of very, very legitimate claims and reports to them. A response that we still need to question. And even before we unpack it, we're still needing protection from the UNHCR for LGBTQ refugees in Kakuma camp. Now, I will invite my friends in Kakuma to come and unpack these two statements that I have from the UNHCR. One, the 29th of April, 2020. And the other one, July 10, 2020. Remember that this is the first statement that we have got in response to all your letters, to all your statements. For you professionals out there, doctors who have been working on issues in Kakuma, this is the statement that you have in response. For all human rights defenders who have written concerned, these are the statements. For you refugees on Block 13 in Kakuma camp, this is your response. And I'll bring you on various times during this show. I would like you to help me understand this, and also you who are listening, the UNHCR has intervened and has responded to us, allegedly after it looks like they have investigated. You will hear about this statement as we come. In fact, I will give you this statement, or this AC. Before we unpack the statement, I think that friends in Kakuma, you might want to wait a little bit. Today, the UNHCR has said this in response to all our communications to them. Here on Facebook, by email, and by phone, from professionals, from activists, from suffering LGBTQ refugees. And we understand the language that is being used here. We have seen it before. I have it in emails from individuals, from organizations, statements that are used in here. I have them in email, in chats from, I'm so disappointed. A lot of things can't be said now, but they will be said. The UNHCR statement goes this way. UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, called today for enhanced dialogue among refugee communities living in Kakuma to help reduce tensions which have emerged in a specific area of the refugee camp. In recent weeks, UNHCR has received conflicting reports from different communities who have been accusing each other of provoking violence. While this does not reflect the overall security situation in the camp, in Kakuma camp, we are concerned by these rising tensions. The UNHCR is concerned by these rising tensions. More especially, the UNHCR continues, more especially in the past weeks, a small group, listen to this very carefully, friends, a small group of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or intersex LGBTI refugees and asylum seekers have been reporting incidents of violence against them. In parallel, members of other refugee communities and LGBT refugees and asylum seekers living in other parts of Kakuma camp. Listen to this very carefully. I have heard this from a human rights organization, actually. And you refugees in Kakuma camp need to rectify this, because the African Human Rights Coalition, I think, with its headquarters here in the US in California, has also reported that LGBT refugees have attacked LGBT refugees from different parts of the camp. That was the first time I heard of this report from the AHRC. Now, I am reading it from this statement of the UNHCR saying that in parallel, members of other refugee communities and LGBTI refugees and asylum seekers living in other parts of Kakuma camp have reported threats and violence perpetrated by individuals belonging to this small group of people. The UNHCR is basically saying that the small group of people for which we are advocating on Block 13 that has been complaining of attacks from them, the UNHCR has confirmed that this group, there are reports from other parts, other groups in the camp, and those groups are general refugee communities and LGBT refugees in a different part of the camp. In fact, the African Human Rights Coalition or Council, whatever it is, AHCR, headed by Melanie Nathan in the US, and Mark Cohen, people who have been working with refugees, has also assured me that there are about 200 other LGBT refugees in another part of Kakuma that are living a low profile, and that makes them safe. So this is the group that the UNHCR is talking about, that this group of people in Block 13 have actually perpetrated violence on other members of the general refugee community as well as the other LGBT refugees. This is what the UNHCR has confirmed, is confirming, because I already heard about this report from the AHRC. You need to have a head, guys, too. And I ask you all to be sharp as you follow this. And then the UNHCR continues that in total, an estimated 300 refugees and asylum seekers who self-identify as LGBTI currently live in this camp of Kakuma. In fact, they've just confirmed, because the other part that the AHRC has told us is about 200 plus, and the group this side is about 100, more than 120. So they're telling us they're actually less right now. And the majority live dispersed across the camp. And they are well integrated and have reported a limited number of security incidents over the past several months. The UNHCR continues. The security and well-being of all refugees and asylum seekers, regardless of their age, nationality, sexual orientation, gender identity, race, or any other aspect of their profile, is UNHCR's top priority. We condemn, the UNHCR is telling us this, we condemn any violence against refugees and asylum seekers, including acts perpetrated by other refugees. The UNHCR is saying they condemn this. In response to the incidents reported by the small group of LGBTI refugees and asylum seekers, and this is the group at Block 13, police and local authorities have enhanced the security measures in the areas of the camp where they reside. Please, Kakuma friends, could you help us and tell us if that is right, if that is true? Because the UNHCR says that they have enhanced security at Block 13. The UNHCR always takes immediate action to follow up each incident. The UNHCR follows up immediately each incident reported to us to ensure that those concerned have access to the services that they need. National authorities and NGO partners offer a range of services in Kakuma, including health, legal. I think that, friends in Kakuma, this is the time. And psychosocial support. An ambulance, listen, an ambulance is on standby to transport those in need of medical care to the local health facility. The UNHCR continues by saying they understand the increased challenges that vulnerable refugees and asylum seekers, including some with an LGBT profile, are facing due to the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. UNHCR works alongside partners to identify those most in need, to offer assistance, psychosocial support, and counseling. This includes mental health assistance and regular home visits. The dedicated UNHCR Kenya toll-free and multilingual protection helpline is accessible 24/7 to facilitate access to law enforcement, medical services, or counseling as required. Please, friends, note what is being said here by the UNHCR in response to your calls. These services have been reinforced to meet increased demand in recent months, including for those with suicidal ideation. So the UNHCR is saying that you guys on Block 13 are crazy. And we are crazy that we are talking about it. Several hundred individuals in Kakuma, including some with an LGBT profile, have benefited from these services during the month of June alone. We know who is benefiting and what letter or not they have to have in order to be respected as LGBTQ people. I think that some of these things might have to be said. To reduce tensions and facilitate peaceful coexistence in the area where incidents have been reported, the UNHCR, along with its Kenya counterpart, the Refugee Affairs Secretariat, the local law enforcement and refugee community leaders, has put in place mechanisms for community dialogue, bringing all refugee groups together to openly discuss challenges and identify constructive ways, oh Jesus Christ, to address them and improve the security of all residents. We hope that those who have so far refused to engage will agree to join this important initiative. I also heard this from the African Human Rights Coalition, that some of you refugees have refused to involve yourselves in this initiative. And the UNHCR right now is saying that they hope that those of you who have so far refused to engage with will agree to join this important initiative. Oh, wow, this honorable organization. We are also troubled that while following up on the incidents reported by this small group, we have found inconsistencies in many of their accounts. The UNHCR is saying they have investigated all your cases, all the cases we have reported to them. They have investigated all those beatings that you saw, where you saw people beating others. There are inconsistencies, very many. That's what the UNHCR is saying, not me. I believe the LGBT refugees on Block 13 in Kakuma camp. A lot of my friends believe the LGBT refugees on Block 13 in Kakuma camp. We have very few voices at the moment, but someday, y'all who have not joined this struggle will realize that the UNHCR is actually suffocating these people. That there are very few like this compared to over 200,000 refugees in that camp. That all these claims are not true. Majority of these claims in this statement are not true. Those refugees have not even been asked any questions since June 19th, the last biggest attack. Those refugees are still suffering the effects of that day. I just received a message from one of their doctors, and I will read it. A message from one of their doctors says, hey, someone in Kakuma needs surgery urgently. Lots of injuries in genital area, being affected by hernia that is increasing inflammation. It can become life-threatening very quickly for him. Speak it out on a live. Yes, this and many cases are coming, and the UNHCR, you cannot say we are lying about all these things. Because Kakuma Mission Hospital is not a fake hospital. If it has diagnosed these people of these illnesses, how can we say, when we are not doctors, that these are not real? I'll finish this statement. So they are concerned that this information collected is not, it has the reports are inconsistent. There are inconsistencies in many of their accounts when compared with information collected by the police and provided by other refugees. Information provided by police and other refugees, I'm ready to stand for this. That this police is the same police that gets entertainment from forcing these these gay boys to have sex with each other while they laugh, while they film it, and then blackmail them that if they report, they are going to send them to Lodwar. Do I know where Lodwar is? But I know the name. This very police is the one that is forcing them to have sex with each other for entertainment of the police. They are people like that in Kakuma. The police that the UNHCR is talking about. But because we are very few and don't have a muscle and letterheads, nobody is believing us yet. But be ready to stick to the truth, even if it means that you are standing alone. I have lived by that. I've stood alone many times. But eventually, the truth never hides. And UNHCR, this very nicely and sweetly written statement will be disproved someday, very soon. We are also concerned by the spreading of information that mischaracterizes the situation in Kakuma on social media. I think that the UNHCR, you just need to prove us wrong. Prove us wrong, UNHCR. Be open and transparent about your investigations that have not involved even questioning of the LGBTQ refugees on Block 13 in Kakuma camp. We urge everyone, including individuals living outside of Kenya, to verify information with diverse sources before posting. In fact, we do. We do verify this information. But we want to be proven wrong. Misinformation can only increase tensions in the camp and undermine our continued and collective efforts to protect those in need, ensure peaceful coexistence, and safeguard the best interests of all refugees, including those with an LGBT profile. UNHCR and partners, and we know who the partners are, who are giving these false reports to the UNHCR, will continue to explore all means available to provide protection and assistance to refugees and asylum seekers in Kakuma, who form a part of nearly 500,000 refugees and asylum seekers currently hosted in Nairobi. In Kenya. So there's so many, over 500,000. The UNHCR is saying, why? Just 100 and something people, really, that are reporting these issues, So that is the statement from today. We are going to have my friends in Kakuma camp, and they will be helping me to unpack this, and they will also be unpacking the statement from April 29, 2020 by the same UNHCR. Inviting your friends. I've switched on my AC. In case it is causing you, if you don't hear properly, let me know and I can switch it off. All right, friends in Kakuma camp, I am inviting you to the show. Yes, hello, Kakuma. Who is this? Yes, Gilbert. I'm so happy to see you in this situation. I have two statements here. One from April 29, 2020, and another one that I just read out that came out today from the UNHCR in response to all the calls we have been making the past few weeks, and also from all the reports that you, friends on Block 13, Kakuma Camp, have given. It is very clear in this statement that I just read out that there are a lot of inconsistencies in what you're saying. The UNHCR seems to have investigated fully and is basically saying the people on Block 13 have actually perpetrated violence against other refugees, including LGBT refugees in the camp. You can start wherever you want to start from.
Victor, it appears so that UNHCR has finally spoken about the issue in Kakuma. I think now we have an opportunity to understand how UNHCR operates here in Kenya. Now, for everybody out there that was wondering, why are the people dying in Kakuma? Why is there no helping offered? This is an eye-opener. Let's begin with a statement that has been issued today. In that statement, they say there is a small group. Now, how small group this is, we don't know. It could be two individuals. But if they're referring to Block 13, as we believe they are, Block 13 does not contain a small group. That's to begin with. Then secondly, they say that they have taken time to investigate. And according to them, this only began in the recent weeks.
Yeah, it's that.
Anybody who
the statement starts off with in recent weeks.
Absolutely. They say in recent weeks. Honestly, even the deaf have heard of the troubles in Kakuma long before June, long before May.
2015.
Even the blind have seen the bloodshed in Kakuma.
Under the Kuchu Diaspora Alliance, I did a show. I broke a story of a refugee who had been badly attacked in Kakuma camp in 2015. That is when we first heard of those people.
Absolutely. And UNHCR comes out and says, this is just something for recent weeks. Then they talk of groups. There is a group that is attacking the small LGBTI group. Then the small group is attacking the big. They are being ambiguous. If you look at that statement, they deliberately become vague on very important details. For example, if the small group has reported being attacked, who has been attacking them? They have the audacity to accuse the small group of attacking the so-called integrated group.
Yes.
The well-funded, the paid to be silent big group has been attacked by the small, vulnerable group of mothers and children. They have attacked the big group. Although they admit that the small group has reported incidents of attack, they deliberately miss the part of who has been attacking them. That is one. Two, they mention that there has been inconsistencies in the incidents reported by this small.
Yeah.
Now, the reason they are claiming there were inconsistencies is because they asked some other refugees in other parts of the community to verify that I was hit in the back, that my head is cracked. Somebody should first come from another part and say, yes, his head is cracked, for it to be a consistent story. You know, I have seen efforts in the past by organizations, but this is pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. They talk about a response. Now, when it comes to a response, they forget the big group. Now they come to the small group again. Now, in response to the incidents reported by the small group, they have instituted psychosocial support, standby ambulance, CGE, home visits. I am going on record. Block 13, we are over 130 individuals. And none of us has ever seen a UNHCR official. Maybe that's because we do not have a home and they are visiting those with homes. They are probably visiting those that are safe. I think that's what disqualifies us, because they abandon us in open ground. But if they claim they have paid visits, then only their spirits have passed here. We have never seen an official from UNHCR. Not one. This whole charade of quickly, we have a 24 hours, that helpline, when you call it in terms of danger, when we're running away from attacks, it is off. It is off. When they know we're in trouble, they switch it off. It's never on when we need them. Call police. The challenge is that they have issued statements that are inconsistent. If you begin with actually, because our reports show that there's no credibility in our attacks. So the heads that are cracked, the bones that are fractured, for them, no credibility. That's what they have said. Then they have gone on to say, but the demand in the recent months have forced them to increase security, to put an ambulance. Now, why the hell do they bring security if there is no threat? Why the hell do we have an ambulance on standby if we are not injured? Who are they kidding? Is that an institution that is talking about inconsistencies? Give us a break. What could be further from an inconsistency? How much of an inconsistency do you need? These people are not in danger, but the demand from there has made us increase beef security. Who is writing these things? Do they even read through these statements before they put them out? Now, anyway, Victor, I'm very pissed, but I'll try to be as rational as possible.
Yes.
UNHCR evacuated LGBTIQ persons in 2019. If in 2018, if they are successful at integrating them in the community, why were they evacuating them? If their integration has worked as they claim, why were they evacuating them? We've sent you a notice where even the Refugee Affairs Secretariat said they were no longer registering our cases. Why? If LGBTQ plus persons were safe in Kakuma, what were they running from? You see,
so the UNHCR themselves who are saying that they've worked on issues of integration and all that, evacuated people from Kakuma.
Yes, you evacuate people in 2018 December and January 2019, and then in 2020 you're saying we have a success story of integration. When did this happen?
What is this here?
That was a notice that was issued then as they had stopped registering cases. You know, I have it on good ground that RAS had actually asked UNHCR to stop bringing LGBTQ plus persons in Kakuma because of the security demands that come with having them around. They had a gentleman's agreement that was never kept. So they reached a point and they didn't want to register us anymore. As you can see the notice.
Yeah.
Now, all we have as the effort, as an intervention from UNHCR was an evacuation. Now they bring a same group people that were agitated, because by the time you evacuate individuals from a community, it means, according to UNHCR, that's the last resort. They either perish or you whisk them away. Now they whisked a very large group of individuals. The people were at that stage where only evacuation was a solution. Now they bring us in when people are in that state. And you talk of integration? I think UNHCR needs to read some of these statements and make public corrections. Now let's talk about when we rent the UNHCR compound.
Yeah. We
arrived there on the 27th of April this year.
Yeah.
We had two failed dialogues on the 27th itself and on the 28th. Now, after the failed dialogue on the 28th, they issued a statement on the 29th.
The 29th, yes.
Yes. On the 29th, in that statement, now I want you to see the open lies, the hypocrisy, the inconsistencies, now actual inconsistencies that are on record. On the 29th, UNHCR Kenya issued a statement on their Facebook saying that a group of LGBTIQ plus refugees and asylum seekers, then they did not refer to us as self-identifying LGBTQ plus. Now we are self-identifying LGBTQ plus. Then they said a group of LGBTQ plus refugees and asylum seekers. and they said we are 60 in number.
Yes.
They said
Yeah.
in that statement
Mm.
that we had raised security concerns. And they went on record to say that we were asking for resettlement.
To a third country. Yeah.
Now, yes, they do admit in that statement that they had discussed our security concern with us in detail and had no qualms. They had no issues with the security concerns that we raised. However, they do highlight that their challenge was there were no openings for opportunities to resettle us. The receiving countries could not take us up because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah.
Now, if we had security concerns that you were willing to resettle us to be able to protect us, how come you come back to us and say, now that the receiving countries have opened up, your solution to our problems is a fucking public dialogue? Are you kidding? You want to resettle people and all you lack is an opening where to put them. Now the openings are here in numbers and you're talking of public dialogue. Why didn't you engage in public dialogue in 2019, in 2018? Why did you evacuate people? Want people willing to talk then? Victor, do you need any further inconsistencies from UNHCR?
But I'm seeing so many of them here because the UNHCR kind of confirms, especially in the statement of April 29th, the UNHCR
Absolutely.
confirms these security issues and threats that you're facing. And how does the UNHCR confirm them? And right now they are disputing these things. But right now they were saying in April that the group's general security concerns have been discussed in detail. And among other things, the National Police Service has offered to increase security measures in the area of the Kakuma camp where those 60 live. Because they had discussed in detail. Of course, the detail means that there is need for security, meaning their threats are attacks. And the number has also been, provided, blah, blah. It's very clear that they were confirming those insecurities here in this statement in April 29th, April 2020. And
now they come.
Today, it looks like this small group on B13 is the problem in the camp.
Absolutely.
The small group causing chaos, attacking other LGBTQ people and the general refugee. So friends, the UNHCR is basically saying that those Facebook lives we see live things happening in real time are not real when we see tall men chasing after these LGBT people with machetes. They are saying we are blind, we don't see those. And all the refugees, the wounds they have, that we have seen them being sliced, they are saying that those are not real. These people were not sliced. I have watched on live footage other refugees beating up LGBT refugees. The UNHCR is saying that we are not seeing right.
No, that's what they are saying. But you see, you can't lie for a long time. They put their statement out saying that the security concerns were going through required resettlement, but only if they could have openings. Now they do have openings, and now they come and say, let's put them in a dialogue. And you see, we have been telling the world
out of the camp. It's the first step.
Yes, Victor.
While they have dialogue.
Absolutely. And you know, when you have LGBTIQ plus refugees in April, and then in July, you have self-identifying LGBTI, you're confusing people. You're confusing people. Do you know the people you're talking about or you do not? You should have one statement about the same group. If we were asylum seekers then, who are refugees, How come now we are self-identifying? If we had genuine security concerns that you were lamenting at lack of resettlement opportunities then in April, how come now you want to integrate people among the attackers? How come now you're talking about having a dialogue with the attackers? If we are the problem, if the small group is the problem, how come you report that we have been attacked? Because they say regarding we have been attacked, the other group has been attacked, the other group has been attacked by the small group. Now, who has attacked the small group? How come that was not mentioned?
Only talk about the small group attacking somebody else.
Absolutely. Now, Victor, we have always mentioned that in UNHCR's the main UNHCR's concern is to silence voices in Kakuma. That's why they issue statements and forget, because they have silenced people. When they got rid of us from their compound that was surrounded with the CCTV cameras, they forgot, because for them, they had silenced us. But unless they silence the attackers, unless they take away the hackers, the ones with the machetes, the ones with the pangas, the ones who are cracking us, the ones who are killing us, they are not going to silence the situation in Kakuma. It has never worked. That never works. They talk about suicidal ideation. We lost a member of the LGBTQ plus family, a young man in his prime. He died in front of all those CCTV cameras around the Nairobi office.
The UNHCR office.
UNHCR. Please, when you have the time, ask them what killed that boy. What happened to the boy? Because we do not know. Otherwise, we are going to die off like that, and UNHCR only says there is tension growing in recent weeks. We have cases of suicide and you're talking of recent weeks? What do you stand for? Somebody ask UNHCR, what do they stand for? You have a dead body hanging in front of your office and you say, let's get the community to discuss this openly. You talk of a low profile and then what kind of low profile is that? Keep a low profile, don't show the people you're LGBTQ, but then tomorrow come and meet them in a meeting, tell them you're LGBTQ. What? Can UNHCR stop being inconsistent? Let them have a position. If they were lying in April about lack of resettlement opportunities, let them come out and say, we never meant to say that. We never want to resettle these people. They can die if they want to die. And we'll know that. By the way, Victor, regarding the things they mentioned in that statement, for example, the number, the other things, we have proof to show that even that statement was full of unresearched information.
Yes.
But that proof will not be brought here today. We'll have another platform. But we were calling on UNHCR. Please, you're an institution that has built reputation from offering services to people in need, people whose lives are in danger. Stop giving excuses. Stop issuing responses publicly. If you come to Block 13, you will have real answers and you have real information to post in your Facebook pages. For as long as you're talking to organizations that are in the United States of America, for as long as some, Victor, are you aware that some organizations that we do not know to be associated with UNHCR come here and ask for individual numbers issued by UNHCR?
Yes, I'm aware. I was told.
And ask for a case number issued by UNHCR. Now, this question goes to UNHCR. Who on this earth, except you, has use for that number? Who on earth, except UNHCR uses our individual numbers or case numbers. So if anybody comes and asks for those numbers, what do you think was in our minds? Where are they taking them? Because that number is useless to anybody else except UNHCR. Peter, Victor, that question has to be answered. Why are they taking our personal information that is only relevant to UNHCR? And these guys are based in USA, where they are having comfort in their offices. This information is for who? Who do they work for? Who on earth can use our individual number? UNHCR have some explaining to do when it comes to the confidentiality of our information. Somebody comes to the camp and picks information about refugees and goes with it to the USA. And you're watching.
And I've heard that those who say, I will not give you my number, I will not give you my personal information, and so do not give in their number to these individuals, then they are going to be alienated when it comes to certain relief coming to the camp.
Yeah. They are excluded from the relief that comes through that side. So UNHCR has to explain to us that number that is picked by those people, the number that can only be used by them, is being taken to who and for what. You see, we have complained about this, and you see, when they come out to make statements, they avoid real issues. Because the confidentiality of the information of the refugees is at risk, something they should be protecting. And they're not mentioning that. They're talking about tensions, public dialogues. We need to discuss real issues. If UNHCR thinks they can hold a dialogue, let them hold a dialogue with us. Let them first engage us.
They can't say there is not,
and if,
when they have not included the group in question.
Absolutely. If they think dialogue will work, why have they not engaged us in dialogue? That's what we want to know from them. And the fact that ever since we were attacked, they have never stepped here belies what they have posted today.
And
we can
confirm this when they give us any of you. This is ridiculous.
It is absolutely ridiculous. I agree with you. It is actually shaming. In my view, it is beneath them. We can swear with our hands on our chest. We have never seen UNHCR officials here. And if they want the number of the people that have never seen the UNHCR, we can generate that list and provide it. The people who have never seen an UNHCR official. So they should stop telling the world they offer home visits. Since when? UNHCR has surrounded itself with organizations. These organizations are incompetent. They have little or no training in dealing with the diversity that exists in Kakuma, and specifically the LGBTQ+. Most of them have not had even basic training. If you're dealing with refugees, you're bound to meet people of our kind, the LGBTQ+, you're bound to meet people with other needs. You must have some basic training to deal with this kind of diversity.
Diversity, yeah.
Do you know how many times we have to explain to somebody what the word just LGBTQ means?
After
and somebody's like, what is that? So, Victor, please, I'm calling out everybody out there. UNHCR, ask them if they were short of resettlement opportunities in April as they issued. What is the problem now? Have they forgotten what they said? If they have, please kindly remind them. We were following. These things matter to us because our lives are in danger. That's why we don't forget a promise issued by UNHCR. For them, they forget because their primary concern is to silence us. We do not forget because we need this kind of intervention. Now, before they issue statements, before they make empty promises, they need to know that they are toying with emotions of people whose lives are on the line. They are toying with the wrong people. It's not a joke that you should come out and issue statements and walk away. This is not politics, for God's sake. This is life. You don't just imagine a doctor who comes and tells you you're going to die of cancer next week, then comes to me and says you're going to live for 10 years, and then comes and says you might live or die. UNHCR, you are confusing. If you do not want to help, we gave UNHCR a document the day they brutalized us, courtesy of police, national authorities. You know, that's how they refer to them in their documents. I'll share a copy with you later. That document that we issued to them was signed by 127 LGBTQ plus persons on the 30th of April. The people they claimed were 60.
Yeah.
It was 127. I'll share it with you. We had one request of UNHCR. We told UNHCR, if you cannot protect us, it's not your fault that you don't want to protect us. That's your choice. Because there's a difference between choice and fault. Now, if that is your choice, we'd like to move. We are going to ask friends wherever they are. We have a family. We have sisters and brothers that will stand with us in solidarity to go through this. They will come up with a solution and will clear out of your country and leave you with those that have integrated, the ones that you claim are safe. Yes. When we gave that statement, I handed it myself to Elodie in the presence of Ismail Kahin, the head of operations here.
Elodie.
Elodie is the lady in charge of protection. Okay. And Kahin, Ismail, is head of operations. And Kahin told me then, and those that were with me, that if you want to leave, you can go away. You're free to go away. I ask the question, what does UNHCR stand for? Because for the rest of us here, we do not know. We read of their mandate, but we don't understand their mandate. He told us, you can go away if you want. That was before we were brutalized, beaten by police, and the local Turkanas. And then shipped like luggage and dumped on Block 13. Now, if indeed Mr. Kahin meant his words, and if that was the view of UNHCR, then we are wasting time, Victor. We are wasting time in trying to ask UNHCR to do its job in our behalf.
We are not wasting time.
I think we should think, absolutely.
We are not wasting time.
Asking UNHCR to come and help
the UN
is a wastage of time.
Bullying us right now because of the silence of many human rights defenders and organizations out there. The UNHCR is bullying the little group that you hear them calling a small group.
They're bullies.
It is silencing people. And it is because they choose not to help. But one thing that can make them help is for human rights organizations, international human rights organizations, regional organizations to join us in this fight. It will change things today and for tomorrow. The UNHCR wants to invite LGBT refugees in Kenya next year to the same situation. Because they 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, they'll do it next year.
Absolutely.
But
and we know how it's going to end.
Ernest died at the headquarters of the UNHCR in Kenya, hanging from a tree, from suicide. And the UNHCR is not counting that as real. Somebody, they had somebody hanging in their yard at the UNHCR offices from suicide. Ernest.
That's my question to the human rights defenders. If you call yourself a human rights activist, a defender or whatever makes you comfortable in describing your passion for fighting for other people to be well off like yourself. Wasn't the death of Ernest enough? Or you doubt that he actually died?
Oh, he killed
You
himself.
think that, do you think that was a fake Ernest?
Ridiculous. That's why I laugh.
Yeah. Was he a fake Ernest? Or you think he did not hang from the UNHCR compound? Actually, if they had their way, it would never have come out. But now it is out. That should have been an eye-opener. It should have been an eye-opener for you people, human rights activists out there, that something is wrong. Something is grossly wrong. Do you need another life hanging somewhere for you to prove that something is wrong? Do you need that?
And it's coming.
Victor,
UNHCR does not intervene. Anybody else in Kakuma wants to say something to add on what? Because we need to make a call to human rights organizations out here. Seriously speaking, human rights organizations, your silence is really.
Yes, hello, Victor. This is Trinidad.
Yes, Trinidad.
Today I'm saddened. I've decided to break the silence after reading that statement from UNHCR. It was so ridiculous. I wondered how they told us that whatever is happening here at Block 13 and the members of LGBTQ in Kakuma camp came here and whatever is happening is inconsistent. So ridiculous indeed. Some of us have been apprehended to police, to the extent being taken to the courts of laws, not because we are criminals, but because we have taken a concern, we have raised a concern about our people who have been neglected in the hospital. And all of a sudden, the police boss in no minute comes and takes us away. But remember, in case of an attack, we try to call the police, takes them hours and hours before they can reach. But on that day, in no minute, they are there, they are whisked away, taken to the police station.
Did the police
Then I wonder if... Sorry?
Did the police give you reasons for your arrest?
They never accept telling us. They never did so, except the police chief called him the OC station, the officer in charge of the stations in the whole of Kakuma, reaching and just tells us, get in the patrol car and first submit your phones. They confiscated our phones at first. We wondered why, because they hadn't even charged us with anything, but we had to give in our phones, then taken. Then we reached, then someone tells you, the whole police boss tells you that remove your trouser, remove your shirt, and sit down. What kind of bullshit is that? I remove my trouser. Don't I have a right of my own privacy? It's already class. And then ask his junior officers, himself not aware of which case, what exactly the case he should charge us with. Ask the junior officers that, what should we charge them with? All of a sudden, on a form it is written, assault causing bodily harm. Yet we never getting one.
They just picked you up at the hospital where you had taken your other colleagues who had been attacked.
We hadn't just taken our colleague, but the police, when they came after we had called an ambulance in vain, we resorted to calling the police patrol, which came and put the victims in the car patrol. And they told us to help them carry the victims up the hospital. We removed them, we laid them on their sick beds. It was police itself which took us. So in their presence, all that stuff started, all that chant started, asking them why they are not treating our people, yet they were breeding, with no hope.
What happened when
Then,
you got into jail? They asked you to undress, and you did that and sat down. And then what else?
okay, after writing everything, but without our trousers and shirts, when we're naked, we are sent to the police cell that we should go there as LGBTQs and we make love. Ourselves, after all, they've just helped us, made us naked.
They told you to make love.
They told us to make love
You
while
went.
in the cell.
You are listening. You please help us and prove these people wrong about their reports.
You know, I know UNHCR itself, as they had made this statement, they exactly know everything. Because when we even tried to reach them, they told us that they can't give us any legal representation, neither on the police station nor in the courts of laws. They have that recording. So whatever I'm saying right now, it's not a misinformation because I experienced it. You know, if they were there, they would dispute this. But how can even they try to dispute such? Because I was there, I experienced it. That life of going on the parade and someone brings a police baton, those small sticks they hold and put them on their asses. That because the LGBTIQs and love going through behind, so they are trying on us. Make us remove the trousers again, even when after we had complained and they brought them back. Then they put those batons in our asses.
The police.
Can you imagine that kind of? The police itself, the Kenya police force. I'm the one saying it because they did it to me. I'm saying the truth. Even if they do anything, the truth will always set me free.
I see that Benon is saying something. Benon said they even instructed fellow prisoners to beat us and even rape us.
You know, that's saddening me. Because after those instructions by a police officer, whom we even reported to UNHCR, instructing our fellow inmates to torture us because we are curses, as they call us, as they refer to us. You can't imagine being forced to sit down in that police cell, hold a bucket of urine that has taken
Urine.
that has been in that same police with all that stench. You hold it when someone comes to pee, he pretends he has missed, urinates on you. Can you imagine such pain? Then this is the inconsistency when UNHCR is telling us.
The UNHCR, with the help of some organizations, is saying this.
Yes, I understand.
Because the UNHCR says that they work with some organizations. I mean, I know one organization they work with, the African, is it African Human Rights or whatever, coalition. I don't know about the other organizations, maybe the ones in Nairobi, Kenya. But they are saying all those things that you people are saying.
Does even African Human Rights Coalition exist? Does it even have a mandate to come and work upon me in this camp? I don't know about African Human Rights Coalition because I came for UNHCR and those re-established NGOs that are partnering UNHCR. African Human Rights Coalition, perhaps it's being headed by an African, maybe, because he could understand me. And maybe they're the ones luring UNHCR to behave homophobic more than the real attackers who attack us day
Well,
and night.
reports that I'm getting in this statement, I have heard them from the African Human Rights Coalition. And that is why I wanted to ask you, friends, openly about these things because, for example, all this, like a lot of paragraphs from here, I got it already from the African Human Rights Coalition, and I see it in a UNHCR statement. You know, it tells a lot, and that is why I had wanted for you people to help me understand this statement.
Please go ahead. You can maybe cite some little statement because African human rights,
Well,
I think,
Trinidad, I think that make your call to the UNHCR. Personally, as a human rights defender, I still feel and believe that despite all this here, the UNHCR still needs to up its game and get you guys out of that dangerous place.
you know what, Victor? If anyone could, because when you see people here, let me not just talk about myself. Some are permanently. Some have been stabbed. Some have been cut. Have been stigmatized, traumatized. We were better off, even when we were in that homophobic country of ours. When our families were banishing us, maybe the trauma was less. But here, dying from a foreign land in a UNHCR camp somewhere in Kakuma, Turkana region of Kenya, where we had ran to seek for refugee. Then we come here and shed blood and soak the soils of Turkana land with our own blood and die from here. For real, it would have been better if you had stayed back. UNHCR is traumatizing us, stigmatizing us. We need to be evacuated soon than later.
Trinidad, thank you.
We need to. All right.
Thanks for sharing your story, and I'm sorry. I mean, I've had you talk about things that are really. Yes, my friend.
Hello,
Yeah.
Victor.
Hey,
Emmanuel.
you who?
Emmanuel.
That's Emmanuel.
Yeah.
I know some names. So good to see you. Kabonge Kao. What's happening?
Okay. First of all, I want to tell you, UNHCR, that let them stop lying. They are lying, everyone. They are lying about our situation in Kakuma. This is not right. They know that we don't have power to speak.
Yeah.
They think that we don't have power to speak, to tell the truth about what's going on in Kakuma. That's what they think. They are closing our accounts, our Facebook accounts, because they know that we are speaking the truth going in Kakuma. This is so bad. This is so bad. This is so bad. This is so bad. We are dying in Kakuma and you're fooling us. You're fooling people around. You're fooling people who can help us. You're fooling us. Eh? You're fooling people who can help us that there is nothing happening here. We are dying here. We have kids. People are dying. Victor, people are dying here. I was almost killed last time on that recent attack. This is so bad. I reached an extent of running away from my brothers and my sister so that I can hide alone. This is so bad. I know UNHCR, you're watching me. I'm Emmanuel Chihimba. I can even give you my manifest and you see it. It's okay, you can take me to prison. You can do anything you want, but I'm saying the truth. This is not what we want in Kakuma. This is not a place for LGBT in Kakuma. You're fooling people around because you know that we don't have power. Because you know that you can silence us. This is so bad. This is really, really so bad. Please, Victor, anyone from outside, anyone who is watching this, please, we need your help. For us, we can't help ourselves because we don't have power. When you say they take you to prison, they take you to police. They send you messages intimidating you to stop doing what you're doing because they think what we are doing is not right.
we are showing people what's going on in Kakuma. This is so bad. This is so bad. Imagine they are giving us 1 kilogram of rice every month. Can you eat that every month? Can you eat that? They know we don't have money. We are refugees, we don't have anything. But when they take you to police, you have to pay a lot of money to get out, even without a crime. They make us pay a lot of money. We sell our things just to get ourselves out of the prison. Can you imagine? This is what we came for. This is what we came for. We came for protection, but Kakuma has been so dangerous, more than even Uganda, where we came from. I can't stop saying what is hurting me or what is hurting other members behind me. We are so hurt. We are so hurt. And if UNHCR is saying this, let's die from here. But let the world know that we are suffering in Kakuma as LGBTQ members. This is so bad. When we went to UNHCR compound last time, we went for protection. And those guys came out, we told them that we came for protection here. We need protection. Kakuma is not safe for us. Those guys, they forced us to come back to camp with tear gas, with bullets. Tear gassed us. But I asked one official that time that in case you take us back to camp and someone dies from here, yet we came to your office for protection, what will you say? What will you tell the world? What will you tell the people? Because for us, we took ourselves there for protection and you brought us back. In case someone dies here, whose fault now? Whose fault, UN? I know you're watching me. It's okay if you don't want to work on me, if you don't want to give me protection, give me a movement pass, I go back to Uganda. Let me die in my country than dying in Kenya where I don't belong. It's better I die in my motherland in Uganda than dying in Kenya with machete and panga. Let me go and die in Uganda where I know that this is my country and I'm dying in my country, not dying in Kenya. This is, I'm so mad. After reading that statement UN said, I was upset. I told Gilbert, I'm going to say this. And I'm saying it. Stop, and stop fooling people. Stop fooling people, UNHCR. Stop fooling people. We are dying here. We are attacked. The houses are broken. We have nothing. And you're saying that we are safe? You're saying we are doing this to ourselves? How can someone stab himself in the stomach?
UNHCR, we are still sending out a plea to you. LGBTQ people are special needs persons in that camp. The folks on Block 13 in Kakuma camp are not lying. We believe them. You say here you have done all your investigations and stuff like that, but it doesn't sound right that you have concluded when you have not spoken to them. You have not spoken to their doctors, for example. You're only listening to organizations that are saying to you, these people are hurting themselves. Even if you can't fly to Kakuma, you can surely get them by video like we are doing right now, and speak to them and encourage them and ask them those questions that you have that have not been answered, or that have been answered by one side. It doesn't require doctorates to do that. You have professionals whose practices are on the line, if it were not true, that can testify that these things are happening. You have an entire hospital treating wounds and skulls. An entire hospital is treating people who have been injured. We have footage that you're refusing to take seriously, UNHCR. Footage that shows others beating up others. None of the perpetrators we have seen publicly in that footage has been brought to book. For you human rights organizations here, the UNHCR is shutting up that small group of people because you're silent. Be public with your statements. Be public with your stand. The issue in Kakuma is real. Some of you understand the dynamics of the power dynamics there. Who is involved in all this? If you're going to stand for the truth, be ready to stand alone. But if you're up as a human rights defender, I think you should be ready to stand for this. This is ridiculous. It makes me sad. The silence. It's ridiculous. Today we came to talk about this statement, which has really disappointed the refugees. It is the first official, you would call official response from the UNHCR to all our cries and pleas and asks and demands. The UNHCR is basically saying we need a public dialogue, and that the reports from Block 13 are inconsistent. Yes, purity.
Oh, sorry, I'm cooking actually. Not off the gas.
That we are also.
Yeah, I'm from the market, so I'm cooking, so I haven't eaten. Haven't had a meal.
Okay, we were the friends in Kakuma camp. We've been unpacking this statement from today, which is a lot of people are finding very ridiculous and dismissing of what is happening on Block 13. Kakuma camp has gone crazy, but I wonder if you have seen this statement as the response to UNHCR for all the work we've been doing, and what your comments are on it.
I have seen it, and to me, that's a win. That's a win for us because our voices are yielding fruits. Because we never saw such kind of documents. Before we could make noise, the only thing we are always told is keep a low profile, keep quiet, don't say nothing, and don't go on social media. So what else do refugees have apart from their voices, honestly? I want somebody to tell me what else does refugees have apart from their voices? What else? Do they have jobs? Do they have investments or what? So I saw that document. That is a very good gesture because it's UNHCR that taught us how much important a dialogue is important. And I believe in a dialogue. It is very important because when you listen to hearsays, you never get to know who is an opportunist, who wants people to suffer to their advantage, and who doesn't. It is up to you to initiate a dialogue. In that document, they say a small group of people. Every refugee life matters. There is no life that doesn't matter when it comes to a refugee. all the individual refugees matter. Whether they are children, whether they are adults, that's a life that somebody has to lose. So there is nothing like a small group when that small group is actually dying. Because, pardon?
I want to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
The UNHCR is calling for in these two groups.
Yeah.
But in this statement, it's clear that the UNHCR has talked to the other groups.
Mm-hmm.
And in this statement, it shows that the UNHCR, even if it says that the reports from some of these LGBT refugees are inconsistent, even if they know that, they have increased protection by the police. They have an ambulance there on standby 24/7. There's access to a law enforcement, medical services, and counseling, and all that for all these refugees. The police is dealing with these issues. There's a lot of things that the UNHCR is saying they have made even better. Purity.
No.
Do you that this statement, do you believe that security has been upped in Kakuma camp since June 19th? Do you believe that these refugees are lying, that they actually make calls to the police and the police that they're lying? Because for them, they are saying that the police has even paraded them, has even asked them to make love to each other for entertainment, has pushed buttons in their asses. That they have reported this. As a refugee yourself, as an activist who has listened to these stories, do you believe that the UNHCR has done its investigation?
No.
The UNHCR has not seen these refugees since June 19th.
Wow.
Is that surprising you?
It's shocking.
June 19th. They say they have not seen a single UNHCR official.
It's very shocking. Now, let me tell UNHCR to understand that writing creative messages isn't what we are looking for. There is nothing like people are dramatic, people are causing their insecurities. Bloodshed is there. There are some things you can never change. You can change your language because you are very educated, you speak very good English, you sit down and you creatively know that, I can always manipulate this situation. But, there is always going to be evidence of the refugees you took to Kakuma camp, and they went there when they were walking. Right now they are limping on sticks. Some are losing their body parts. That can't be erased. That can't be even put in a paper. When you lie about dialogues, honestly, what kind of dialogue? So what proof do you have that literally you had a dialogue with these people? And I want to ask you next year, because I know you are planning a dialogue, and I respect it. But then what kind of dialogue still are you going to have with us if you are still lying? If you are still lying. By the way, you are liars. I should say that. You are the one who taught us that, a dialogue is very important. How come we do not know about those meetings? How come we do not know about those investigations?
They're saying that the UNHCR, together with the Refugee Affairs Secretariat, local law enforcement, and refugee community leaders, has put them, the UNHCR, together with those people, they have put in place mechanisms for community dialogue, bringing all refugees together.
I have to say this before I go, because I'm angry and I'm cooking and it makes me more angry. Even the government of Kenya should understand that you are not doing us a favor as refugees. No, you benefit out of it. You get funding for it to take care of all the refugees. UNHCR are not doing us a favor. It's not a favor. It's not called a favor. If you did not need refugees of our kind, because we are evil, we are dramatic, we are always diversional, you wouldn't have accepted them. Somebody just said, I'd rather die back in Uganda. That is a Ugandan. We have so many other LGBT refugees from other countries, Congo, Burundi, South Sudan, so many. You wouldn't have accepted them. So when you insinuate that you are having dialogues, that is also blackmail. And that makes me feel like you love blackmail because you do not even reach out. We send emails. How many emails have we sent you? If we went to Kakuma camp, honestly, if you went to Kakuma camp and held a dialogue, you had to take all that money in terms of transport, in your per diem, and in everything, and went to Kakuma camp. But you did not spare just 1 minute to respond to emails of people who have already engaged refugees on your behalf. What are you insinuating? And for these other organizations, nobody should mind them, because for them, they want people to suffer. That's what happens in Africa. That's what happens in Africa. A child has to first die of malaria, or a mother die giving birth, and then that's when the organizations will get that kind of money. If nobody's dying, nobody's getting money. So if nobody's suffering as an LGBTQ person, nobody's getting money, and those are the organizations. And that's why they actually have all the time in the world to engage you, because they are beseeching you. For us, we don't beseech. We don't. It is our lives. We don't beseech. Someone just said, if you do not accept me, then allow me to go somewhere else. Allow me to go somewhere else, or go back home, because probably it's better. So for them, they beseech you because they are protecting their business. It is a business, and later or soon, you will know that actually it's a business of people using business language on behalf of suffering people. Stop, leaving your duties and forgetting to do your duties, and listen to hearsay, nice, sweet nothings on behalf of suffering people you are mandated to protect. There is no other job you have than protecting refugees. There is no other job you have. There is nothing like that. So if you don't need refugees, as UNHCR, make it public. Make it public that we should literally either seek asylum somewhere else or go back to where we came from. But with all those creative messages, you blackmail this one, you love blackmail, by the way, I discovered you love diversional things. I do not want to believe that you also want refugees to stay in Kakuma. Anyways, that's what actually puts food on your table, because without a refugee, there's nothing that puts food on your table, because that's what you were hired to do. Go back to your CVs and see what exactly your mandate was. Go back to your appointment letters and see what your mandate was. So don't insinuate issues at the expense of suffering people. We saw that, I was too young. I think I was like 2 years or something when the genocide happened in Rwanda. Every politician was insinuating about it. I lost almost most of my relatives on my mother's side because my mother is from there. And people weren't even taking heed. You know why? Because they are politicians. Politicians are business people. They only want you to hear what they have to say, and they love your suffering, because if you are suffering, then that will be their mandate, that will be in their manifesto. This person is suffering, so I will have to rectify that. They didn't. Thousands of people literally died, not thousands. In Rwanda, genocide 1994, millions of people were slaughtered. My grandmother was slaughtered like chicken and thrown in a river that actually still torments all of us. And so as you do all these creative things, just understand history repeats itself. More so when you know that you are saying, or you are bringing out all these documents on behalf of people who do not have a voice, because you know anyways they don't have a voice. You're seated in your office or wherever you are and you're happy and saying these are dramatic people. History repeats itself. There are so many politicians in Rwanda right now who are still paying for the sins of the people they killed in 1994 genocide in Rwanda. They are still there, even those ones who ran away. They are still being brought back to Rwanda. That was 1994. That is still happening. So don't feel like history doesn't repeat itself, because you do not have any other mandate. You do not have any other mandate. Your only mandate is to protect and safeguard the rights of refugees. And for you to keep coming up with statements than having a dialogue like yesterday with those people, it shouldn't even be me as Purity with those people in Kakuma camp. And then let us know that literally we did ABCD. Don't tell us propaganda about something we know, because we are here. We are not abroad. I'm in Kenya. I'm glad I'm in Nairobi, but I'm not safe also. But then I am here and I'm a refugee. So don't insinuate things. Don't insinuate things. You do not have no money when you don't have refugees. That I understand. When you have so many refugees, and this is for both UNHCR and literally the Kenyan government, you do not say that you are actually doing us a favor. It's not a favor. It's not a favor. They are, by the way, there are reasons why some countries in East Africa decided not to take in LGBTQ refugees. Why? They are homophobic and transphobic, and naturally we know that. They want us dead. Magufuli in Tanzania is slaughtering LGBTQ persons in Tanzania. We know about Uganda, Museveni is there.
Yeah.
Now we thought Kenya was a little bit better. So if it is not better, then don't insinuate things and say this is the only safe haven for LGBTQ refugees. What safe haven, honestly? What safe haven? And for you to think that you are doing LGBTQ refugees a favor is regrettable, because that's why you are paid. That's why you get a paycheck. That's why you have fuel in your car. That's why you have that stipend, because even when you go for that dialogue, for me as Purity, I won't benefit nothing out of it. You will get your stipend, your per diem for just being in that meeting. For me, I'll be using my voice as a refugee to just speak out. For you to be earning, I'll still go back to my room and starve. So don't make things happen as if like you're doing favors. There are no favors, nothing. You are paid to do that. If you feel like that is a lot of work, then let us work there. Make your positions open. We can do a better job. We can do a better job because first of all, we even have enough experience of suffering because we are refugees. We can do a better job. A very better job. By the way, we wouldn't even be homophobic or transphobic or hate anybody, even those ones who hate us. No, we would just create an environment for refugees to just also feel safe for once, because they left their countries because they were not safe. They wanted some kind of peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Purity. Thank you so much. Enjoy making that dinner. Please keep following us. I'll be in touch. I love you. And thank
I love you too.
For being a part of the team that I am on. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. You've heard from Purity, the Iron Lady from Nairobi. However, in that horrifically inaccurate press release by the UNHCR, I have just posted right there. In that inaccurate statement. They have given us their contacts. Continue sending them those messages. Send them those messages that we've been sending. And your call this time, your call to the UNHCR this time should be a couple of things. The first issue is for the UNHCR. The first issue is for them to evacuate LGBTQ refugees. The UNHCR should be urged to inform itself of the truth. UNHCR, write to them and urge them to inform themselves of the truth and to stop slandering Block 13 in Kakuma camp. This statement is basically dismissing the reports from Block 13. It is dismissing everything that we are saying here. It is dismissing reports from doctors and therapists. It is dismissing the narration of what has happened to people by themselves. It is dismissing a lot. And I think that you need to call upon the UNHCR to stop slandering Block 13 and instead evacuate them from that deadly situation. The UNHCR, we call upon you to inform yourselves of the truth. With what you have said in this statement and what is really happening in Kakuma, which a lot of people are willing to stand for, you've not yet done it. UNHCR has not talked to anybody in Block 13, on Block 13 in Kakuma camp. How then can we say this situation is being taken care of? UNHCR is talking about the police deployment at Block 13. You have had these people over the days saying 3 policemen will come and stay for about 1 hour. Last week, a policeman asked the refugee, when are you usually attacked? So that I go and come back at that time. A policeman is asking a refugee, when are you usually attacked? This is the police that the UNHCR is talking about. The UNHCR is talking about upping business at Clinic 7, at the hospital, where members of Block 13 have been arrested for no good reason, paraded before other refugees, and forced to have sex for entertainment and to entertain the police, and where batons have been pushed into their asses. This is what the UNHCR is saying, that the game has been upped. They're willing to stand for that. In fact, I was told that the police were recording some of this action, probably to watch later for entertainment. Hospital equipped. When hospital staff is still asking people, why are you gay? When they're already spitting because they are looking at these gay people talking about having been raped. Is that what we call action to save people's lives? Human rights organizations out there, I have a report that I can share with you, if you like, that you can base on to confirm what's happening in Kakuma. The UNHCR has that report. We have 2 medical reports that they have received from a professional here in the US and another one in Canada, who have been closely watching this. And then we also have several medical reports for each of the refugees that has been treated at the Kakuma Mission Hospital. How can we say that these are unfounded? There are inconsistencies. The only reason that the UNHCR can boldly do this is because the refugees are standing on their own. The refugees only have individuals like me, like you, mostly. The UNHCR sees us as tiny people, useless people. So they can come out with this, and this is what you organizations are willing to take. Organizations, this is what you're willing to take, and not the voice of the one reporting who is willing to be investigated, who has already documented their story and is willing to be investigated. You feel better and more comfortable taking the report of the UNHCR and other organizations that have worked there, such as the ones I named earlier, and you want to say that that is the true report when you have not listened to the refugees themselves. These people are willing to be investigated, but right now they're asking for to be removed from that dangerous situation. It is dangerous. You just had some of them saying, give us a pass and we go back home and die from there. But we've already lost a refugee to suicide. At the UNHCR headquarters in Nairobi, a refugee hung themselves from a tree. Are we looking for more of that? And now the UNHCR seems to say the danger is the small group in Kakuma and not the other the other general refugees. In fact, the UNHCR probably has only investigated and confirmed that this group is attacking the other, the bigger one. There's no security, there's no safety on Block 13. They are not safe. They're still sleeping outside. They're being forced to be a part of a dialogue, but they're not being asked where and what time the dialogue is. The instruction they've been given so far is to keep a low profile, to save their lives. There has been no UNHCR official on Block 13, Kakuma camp, since June 19th, when they had a major attack. The police asked them, when are you gonna be attacked so that we come and protect you then? The police has pushed batons in their asses, for lack of a better word to use. They have recorded them having sex at the instruction of the police. Have sex and we see how you do stuff, you gay boys. We have women reporting rape, are being treated of effects of rape. They were raped brutally by fellow refugees. They have reported these cases. The UNHCR at some point was saying the police and stuff like that, but I have sent them several police reference numbers, and I think case numbers. It's a whole document that the refugees in Nairobi sent. And they're saying probably they had looked at that and said the police is saying these things didn't happen. They have records from medical, from both Clinic 7 and Kakuma Mission Hospital. This statement is ridiculous. This statement is being made strong by the silence of you human rights organizations. The UNHCR is silencing LGBTQ refugees on Block 13 in Kakuma camp because of your silence. And because they have individuals like me. UNHCR is seeing little doodles like in Uganda we call little insects walking. Very disrespectful. Your silence, your failure to get outraged about what is happening is causing this bullying activity and action from the UNHCR. I'm ready to stand for a lot of things that have happened in Kakuma camp. I'm ready to stand for those things. All we want is investigations and show us. Do it openly. I am ready to stand. I believe them. I believe them the way, you know, what has caused problems with our young children is the fact that sometimes they have reported abuse, sexual abuse to us, and we choose to protect the family. We refuse to believe them. It's happening all over the world. Uncle touched me. No, shh, you cannot say that. Auntie touched me. Shh, you can't say that. We do not believe you. Your auntie can't do that. Your uncle can't do that. Your father can't do that. Your mother can't do that. They are shut up. I see no difference with what the UNHCR is doing to the reports of Block 13 in Kakuma camp. There's no difference. It is saying, shh, nothing has happened to you and stop embarrassing us, because the UNHCR officials, many refugees, both in Kenya, in Nairobi and in Kakuma, are reporting threats from UNHCR people saying you need to shut up or your case will delay. There are conditions from human rights organizations. A human rights organization that will say you need to shut up, keep a low profile. If you don't, your case will delay. Sign here. If you don't, your case will delay. They have been raped. Block 13 has been raped in all aspects. And we are saying we shall not believe them. They are numerically the minority there. And also when it comes to the so-called values, African values, they are the minority in that camp. And a very nicely written statement comes out, and human rights organizations, this is what you are going to take. Shame. We want to say this statement is correct after investigations have really taken place, because they have not taken place. There has not been an investigation because there has not been any UNHCR official or police coming to ask about the events of June 19th on Block 13 in Kakuma camp. There are reports that we have sent to the UNHCR that we just need the UNHCR to tell us, respond to all of us and say, they are not true. That people have not been raped, that people have not been cut, that people have not been beaten, their skulls broken, that their hands have not been broken, their legs, their skins have not been sliced, that other refugees are not the ones who have done that. UNHCR, we need you to confirm that that is not true. That is not true that other refugees have attacked Block 13 in Kakuma camp. We do not believe this statement. It is horrifically inaccurate. And a tiny group of people, a defenseless group of people, a marginalized group of people is being silenced. Is being slandered. The UNHCR is saying, we are all lying, those who have stood up for this humanity. They are saying that we are all lying. But there is logic, simple logic, even if it was before they attacked an LGBT human being. LGBT people have fled African countries because of homophobia and transphobia. And an LGBT organization in Africa, a human rights organization in Africa, and the UNHCR believe that LGBT individuals from different parts of Africa who have fled homophobia are safe in a camp with different nationalities from Africa, from different homophobic African countries. And it's so shocking that they have been attacked there. Oh, we have to really investigate. The things that are happening to those people, even in the hospitals in Kakuma, have happened to me in hospitals in America, where somebody has looked at me like I'm shit. UNHCR. When did sensitization around LGBT issues, because it's required in the camp, when did it happen? You cannot ask us that there's no sensitization about other people in the camp. If there are albinos in that camp, albinos, there should be sensitization about their rights, because some Africans actually kill albinos for wealth. Will you ask me if there's been a sensitization in the camp about tall people? No, they're accepted. Heterosexuals, they're accepted. That's acceptable. Cisgendered men and women, they're accepted. You brought them from the UNHCR and then you came and dumped them on block 13 and announced that these are homosexuals. And yet you're telling them to keep a low profile. The police told people these are homosexuals, but you're telling them, you human rights organization, to keep a profile when they were announced as homosexuals. Even if they were not visible, let us say they were not visible. But those trans women that you see, we will never forget this inaccuracy, the slandering, the lies, the silence, and the silence of our family. We will never forget. There's a call for you there in the pinned action, but we shall never forget the silence of our own family, the Rainbow family. We shall never forget the slandering actions of the UNHCR, the dismissing actions of the UNHCR. We shall never forget. And some of us will stand for the truth, even if it means standing alone. Have a good evening.